Hi, it's you and Ellery here making bonsai in Australia, and in this video I'm going to do my first video I've actually ever made on this particular ficus. So I don't actually know what ficus this is. I believe it's a Ficus elastica, just from the leaves, but I did buy it. It was the first bonsai I ever bought when I started getting into it. And it was really just a tiny little seedling at the time. I put a little picture up above so you can see the size of it when I bought it. So shortly after I got this, I decided to try and attempt a root of rock. I wasn't doing videos at the time, so I don't have a prior update to this. But today I'm just going to go over, and as you can see, it kind of grows a little bit slowly, not too many leaves, but gonna prune it a little. There's a whole bunch of aerial roots that have grown off on the side, so prune some of those off and do a bit of upkeep. So for starters, you can see all of these aerial roots, so there's quite a few that are coming out. I really don't know how many of these I actually want to keep. So they grow quite profusely during summer. Just bring up a couple of these dead short ones. They grow quite profusely during summer, especially with the humidity that we have here in Brisbane. So yeah, I'll get rid of a bunch of those. I don't really have any concern of getting rid of too many, because they do grow so well. I can just wait until summer and the humidity to come back, and I'll get more growing. So I'll just get rid of the ones I don't want. Additionally, I don't want the aerial roots to grow too thick, or at least definitely not the high up ones, to grow too thick in proportion to the thickness of the trunk. So getting rid of them now won't hurt. So start by getting rid of this large floppy leaf. Just kind of getting in the way there visually. It's also a little bit down, so I do, because of the size of the leaves on this particular ficus, they are kind of smaller after you've pruned it back a bit. Because of the size, I will just have it as a bit of a larger tree. So that being the case, don't need it down too low. This particular branch coming off here though, I will prune that back, just because the leaf that's budding at the top, they're very slow to bud and then finally shoot off. It's pretty low in its stage of development. I also want a lot more ramification lower down on that. This one I'll keep because it's still fairly short, this particular branch, and it's quite close to leafing out, so I'll let that'll probably come out in the next few days, get a bit more thickness in here, and then I might prune it back to get some more ramification. We'll prune off this big leaf. Leave some more leaves that are kind of branching out a little bit more aesthetically for now. And these ones just come out way too far. So this one here I'm not sure of, just because it does come in quite close. So I might actually keep that, but we'll see. So I also had intended, kind of want to keep, I'd hoped I'd be able to use that root, but doesn't seem so. I kind of wanted to keep a little bit of the rock face. I wonder why. Probably because it's part of the aesthetic appeal, having a root over rock. So just going to cut a bit of that off. And I'll save this moss somewhere as well. So I'm just trying to make sure as I remove this moss, just want to make sure I don't damage the roots that I want to keep. So yeah, so that's loose, so I can tuck that in and get it in a little bit closer if I wanted to. Oops. And okay. There's also a bunch of roots here. Some of them have come out above the moss in the past and kind of dried off. That one there, yeah. So get rid of the one that's branched off and died. So I just want to keep that root there to really hopefully thicken up, just because it is coming out over the root, over the rock, sorry, and going back into the soil there. It looks quite healthy, at least that part of it does. This part, not so much. So a few roots poking off the side and just the moss, so just pruning it all back to the edges of the pot. And initially I had a bit more of the rock face showing on this side too, so few roots just on the edge there. yeah, you can see the perlite and vermiculite in the soil there, so you can just let the moss grow back over that in there a bit more. Might even just throw a little bit in there just to patch it up a bit. Yellow. And yeah, so there's a root there on the side, so ultimately, yeah, for now, keeping a lot of the root mass, the moss mass there. With time, a lot of these smaller roots will develop and become a lot thicker, and that's when I'll take them off. But initially I had just a massive pad of moss that I placed down over a bit of soil. So eventually, yeah, all that will thicken up, and then I'll be able to move this off and have it mostly, pretty much entirely bare. But for now, I need to keep some roots there. Sorry, some moss there. So now I'm just gonna because the moss has grown so vigorously, it's just gonna come up onto the trunk of the tree. A lot of root coming out from that main part of the, don't know if you call that trunk or a root really on this, but what was initially a root before I pulled it out of the soil. There's a lot of little roots coming out just below the level of the moss there, so I'll leave it at about that level just to keep those nice and healthy. Yeah, and don't want this. I'll have more grow back if I want it. Much rather, yeah, a lot of thicker roots coming out lower down, and then ultimately when I get more branches coming out to the sides, I can have aerial roots that kind of come down from the branches. I think they'll look a lot better. Alright, so bunch of moss there, just gonna pack that up and do this. Okay, so there is my young root over rock Ficus bonsai. So I hope you've enjoyed this video or taken something from it. Now I do make a range of videos such as this, so if you are into this kind of content, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you're kept up to date with my future videos as I release them. So look, thanks for your time today. Enjoy.